I love my new apartment. I love it. I love it. It's just very noisy. Creatures, it's Em and welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, welcome. My name's Em. I'm a former zookeeper and I'm a digital animal educator. Today I am going to be attempting to dive into a really polarizing and extremely thought-provoking topic. The topic of animal welfare versus animal rights, and in particular exploring what are the key differences between animal welfare and animal rights, and why is it so important to know the difference, because they sound so similar but are incredibly different. Now, if you have been following me for a while, or if you just look around my room, it is very clear which side of the animal welfare and animal rights divide that I sit on. However, I am going to attempt to approach this topic with as much unbiased opinion as possible. It is very difficult to do, but my job here is not to try and convince you what side of the fence you should or should not sit on. It is simply to educate you on the differences and allow you to come to those conclusions yourself. I am a huge believer that everybody should be educated on things appropriately and then be left to make their choices. Whichever choice you choose, whether you decide that you are animal rights or animal welfare, entirely up to you, as long as you know the facts. If you haven't already, please do remember to hit that subscribe button. It really helps my channel. You can also help support my channel by simply sharing the video. You can also help support my channel by simply sharing my video, leaving a comment down below to tell the algorithm that this is an educationally useful video, or by visiting Emzotic.com, where you can also go and shop all of the brands that I have really close relationships with.
My Niffler plushie is still available for the next couple of days. It is very cute. We like it a lot, and the link for that is down in my description box below.
So let's dive in. Let's start with animal rights. Animal rights is a fundamental philosophy based on the principles of treating animals in a very similar fashion to humans, that animals should have the same kind of autonomy as a human would have. In particular, the belief that animals should be able to live very freely without any human interference whatsoever, that animals should not be used for entertainment purposes, medical research purposes, or for food purposes either. Animal rights also does look at pets as a form of enslavement, as a form of exploitation to benefit humans with very little benefit to the animals themselves. Animal rights also believe that just like human beings, animals should be able to have legal representation. There was a really interesting case on this topic of legal representation and autonomy a few years ago, I believe in 2011. A photographer called David Slater was traveling through Indonesia and he encountered these gorgeous macaques. And even though he was an avid photographer, he published an image of a macaque by the name of Naruto who had taken a selfie of himself, like literally a primate selfie. And it was a delightful image. I do remember thinking how much charm and charisma just came through in that image. However, one animal rights activism group did actually file a lawsuit on behalf of Naruto, stating that that was Naruto's intellectual property and that he should be entitled to the revenue generated from the original photographer, David Slater. So this battle went on for several years until there was a private settlement between the two, where I believe that the animal rights activism group and David Slater, the photographer, came to the agreement that somewhere in the region of 25% of any future revenue generated from that image had to go back into Indonesian macaque conservation. I believe it was to do with habitat security, like securing the habitat of the macaque in that region. So not a bad outcome for the macaques. Whether or not this was perhaps overblown, some people might think that it was, or that it was entirely necessary, you decide. I would invite all of you to share your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Another key animal rights belief is that animals should not be exploited in any way by humans. This also extends to food, so not being food for human consumption and not being food for our pets' consumption either. Speaking of pets, that no animal should be kept as a pet, and to keep an animal as a pet is akin to enslavement. And on the subject of pets, animal rights activists do not believe that we should be keeping animals in captivity. Not for agricultural purposes, not for fashion purposes, not for medical research, not for entertainment, not as pets. This is an interesting topic because I do believe that there are those who have chosen a vegan lifestyle, not to eat or consume any animal products, who are not necessarily animal rights. And if you are one of those, I would love to hear your points of view and why you've chosen that lifestyle. What are the challenges around that lifestyle for you when explaining to other people? Share that down in the comment section below. Animal rights also does not support the testing of animals in any way, shape or form. For example, whether that is for cosmetic purposes or for medical research, it is all completely inhumane in the eyes of animal rights activists and should not be done. Many animal rights activists will also refuse to take any medications themselves which may have been developed through the testing on animals. So animal rights in a nutshell: there should not be any pets in captivity. Animals should be absolutely allowed the same legal representation as a human, that they should be able to live freely from human interference, and that they should not be tested on or exploited in any way for human benefit. Do you feel that I missed anything with regards to animal rights? Please leave a comment down below and share that. Next up, let's explore animal welfare and how animal welfare differs from animal rights. So animal welfare is much more of a scientific study at the betterment of animals in captivity. So essentially it's the thought that animals are in captivity. What can we do to make things better for animals in captivity? So animal welfare does support zoos and aquariums. Animal welfare does support animals as pets. Animal welfare does support animals being used in medical advancement and even in cosmetic development, but it really approaches all of this from the standpoint of it's already happening. What can we do to improve standards? That there should be standards in place to protect and safeguard these animals as much as possible and to make all of the animals that we come into contact with as humans, whether that is rearing for meat or for fashion or for medical research or as pets, what can we as humans do to make that experience better and more humane for the animals in our care? So from an animal welfare standpoint, we would be looking at my dog Kiba and saying he's in captivity. What can we do to make sure that his life is healthy? So that might mean encouraging veterinary visits. It might mean ensuring that he has medical coverage. It might be ensuring that he is laying on a memory foam mattress and that his princely paws do not have to touch the floor. Ensuring that his needs are met. He was bred for companionship, therefore to deny him companionship in day-to-day life would be extremely cruel, and what can we do to negate that? I had a very interesting marriage between animal welfare and animal rights just a few years ago, back when I lived in London. And for those of you who don't know, I am now based in Massachusetts in the United States. However, my world collided with a lot of different people because one thing that is very important when it comes to animal welfare and animal rights is truly understanding which side of the fence that you do sit on. Because when it comes to politics, yes, I'm going to talk about politics. Many politicians do not understand the difference, as do many people in society who think of themselves as animal lovers and proudly proclaim to be animal rights or animal welfare without understanding the difference. And unfortunately, for those who are animal welfare, a lot of the time things get very messy when animal rights activists will place different kinds of legislation which, to a politician who wants to appeal to the animal loving demographic, look to be realistic and a good thing to sign off on, and will push that through without understanding the devastating impact it can have on the wider animal loving community. This did happen in Canada a few years ago, where now animal educational visits in schools are no longer allowed because that is seen as exploitation of animals. So animal rights won there. However, it was an interesting moment in time for me to be called up to become part of an animal advisory group where we helped to rework a law that was going to be passed in the UK. Again, looking to ban animals in animal education under the guise that it counts as a circus, that animals in animal education are circus animals, performing animals, very similar to an elephant in a circus. So thankfully, I'm giving away which side of the fence I kind of sit on here. Somebody did flag this as an issue, and so instead a lot of animal welfare people who worked in that capacity, whether it was zoological educational outreach or animal educational ambassadors, came together to look at what is the issue, how can we amend this to still have a livelihood, but to also do things better. And in the end, it was decided that in terms of transporting animals, certain things could be adjusted in terms of how long an animal could or could not be transported for, minimum space requirements in homes for pets, and a few other tweaks as well. So that's kind of how animal welfare approaches things. What can we do differently to improve? Whereas animal rights is more, we should not be interfering with animals in any way for our benefit, not as clothes, not as medicine, not as pets. So very interesting how those two worlds collided for me, and it made me stop and think about how so many people do not understand the differences between the two, and it is really important as an animal lover to understand that so that you can support either side with as much heart as you want to, but an educated heart. And now I'd love to hear from you. What side of the animal loving fence do you sit on? Are you more animal welfare? Are you more animal rights? And why? Please feel free to have healthy debates down in the comment section below. I highly recommend it. It's really important to share your voice in what you are passionate about and what you do believe in. But all I would ask is that we keep things as respectful as possible in terms of the language used in the comments section. I would really appreciate that. And if I catch anyone being unjustly rude or using inappropriate words, I will absolutely go ahead and delete those comments, because you can be passionate and have a voice without being rude. And that is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the fundamental differences between animal welfare and animal rights. Please let me know if you have any feedback for me, or if you feel that I missed anything. I hope that this gives you a basic understanding and has inspired you to learn some more about this topic. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you in another video soon. Bye. You're such a pro. Such a pro. I'm so happy about you. I think that you are my best decision ever. And you're a lot of fun. You are. You're a lot of fun. And you're handsome. And you smell really good. You have a face that smells like starshine. And cheese and liver. But mostly starshine.